38 cool gifts for science lovers. First up is this Wimshurst electrostatic generator. Spinning the handle on this device produces a really high voltage that creates an arc between these metal balls. You can adjust the distance to create larger arcs or disconnect the capacitors to produce smaller but more continuous arcs. Make sure you follow all safety instructions and don't use this if you have a pacemaker. Next is this Starship torch. It's a refillable butane torch where, by the way, the butane isn't included, but after filling it up, you can press this button and it lights just like a rocket. This is obviously inspired by SpaceX's Starship, and you can get the official one from SpaceX, but this was just a knockoff I found before I realized there was an official one. Next, this is a CMY cube. Each side looks either cyan, magenta, or yellow when viewing directly, and when you rotate it, you can see different color combinations and the beauty of subtractive mixing. Next is this rattleback, which is an object shaped in an asymmetrical way such that it can freely spin in the counterclockwise direction, but when spun in the clockwise direction, it rattles, stops, and then spins the opposite way. It's such a simple object, but it's almost hard to believe the first time you see it. And while this one's metal, you can also get cheaper plastic ones that work just as well. Next is this model steam engine. After lighting the fuel, placing it in, and waiting a few minutes for the water to boil, you can give it a slight nudge and now you've got steam power, and can even attach a belt if you wanted to actually power something. I will say though, you've got to be careful to follow the instructions. I think I used a bit too much fuel and didn't secure it properly, so it started to vibrate a lot at higher speeds, as you can see here. Next is this levitating globe, which is similar to other gifts I had in last year's guide, but it's easier to get stable electromagnetic levitation from above the object, which is probably why this one's much cheaper. Next up, you probably can't tell what these black lines are, and this cup doesn't look that special either. However, when combined, the black lines reflect onto the cup to produce an image of a horse, and by slowly spinning it, the horse looks like it's galloping. Of course, you have to be at the right angle to see it, but this type of art is pretty amazing. If you're not interested in the horse, there's also other designs. Next up is this vortex lamp. After turning it on, a motor with flaps stirs the water to create a vortex, as you can see here. It also comes with tiny balls and snowflakes to add to the effect. However, make sure you want both of these before committing, because I decided I didn't really like the snowflakes and it was an annoying straining process to remove them all. Next are these luminous gas tubes. Each tube contains a different element, and this 5-pack had the noble gases of krypton, helium, neon, xenon, and argon, each that illuminates a different color and brightness. You do need something to make them glow though, like this exposed Tesla coil or the one contained in a plasma globe. Next up is this RGB prism cube.